Hello and welcome to On the Sunny Side. I'm Sunny Grineveld. I'm an entrepreneur and Forbes Under 30 list maker. And here on F15, I speak every week to people who are shaping the digital economy and who are using tech for good. I'm so excited because today I have the head of Latin America at Coursera with me, MarioChamorro. Welcome to On the Sunny Side.
Hola, Sonny. Very happy to be here. This is how I imagine the sunny side.
I love the interactive element, and I'm very glad you're here with me on the sunny side. We're going to start with 5 fast questions that I'd love to use to learn a little bit more about you. So, first one: are you a morning or a night person?
I'm definitely a morning person. But as a morning person, I wake up kind of like a little bit down of energy, so I need coffee. And coffee is definitely part of my morning rituals, as well as to read some stuff about Stoicism to get my mind happy and caffeine up.
All right. Next one: if I give you a time machine and you could travel anywhere to any place in this world, anytime, past, present, future, where'd you go?
That's a great question. I would say 1948 in Bogota, Colombia. Is there was a politician that I really admire. He was fantastic, giving like public speaking and trying to change the country. His name was Jorge Eliezer Gaitan. So I would go back to 1948 and would love to grab a coffee with him and just to learn his ideas about Colombia and about Latin America.
Traveling back to the present, what is a question that's top of mind for you right now?
Right now is how to upskill 1 billion people during this decade. The effects of automatization are currently being very difficult for millions of people. According to McKinsey, like between like 400, 500 million people will lose their jobs and will be replaced by automatization. So a big question for me is how we can support this problem. And yeah,
What is success to you?
I have a picture for this, and well, this is big part of success for me. Is amor fati, which is a phrase from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman imperator, and basically, we have been taught to use love for good things that happen to us, but not for like the bad things. So we love our friends, our family, our success, but we don't really love our enemies, neither our health problems. So uh, having the approach of of loving the good and the bad, that's for me success. That second example is this guy is my dad. He basically he has lived his life as he wanted, as he pleased, and he hasn't had, I don't know, like really CEO positions or like super important positions, but he lived a very simple life. And I think I really consider that success, which is to live the life and the terms that are important to you.
What is it about online education, particularly in Latin America? Why is that subject to you so important?
Access. The short answer is access. Right now, Latin America has at least 90% of the population has a cell phone, a smartphone, and but the largest percentage of Latin America don't have access to good education or good learning opportunities. So online education is really important to me because it brings access to knowledge. And when you bring access to knowledge, that creates freedom and a lot of opportunities for people. And the only way for me to get access to this majority of people in a reduced time that we have is through online education. We still have a lot to learn there, a lot of to learn, but that's why I believe online education is super relevant for me for access.
Mm. And if if I've followed your story, and I mean, you started out as head of Latin America, and I think in many ways you really came to a market which clearly didn't yet have access, and you sort of started at zero, and now you've been, I think, for over 4 years building up the Latin American market. How did you get started with this Herculean task?
In my very first week at Coursera, I remember that I always tend to talk to strangers. So I was in the main hall of Coursera and I saw Daphne Koller, which is the co-founder of Coursera. And it was my very first day, actually. So I approached her and I introduced myself. I said like, hey, Daphne, my name is Mario. What would be a good advice for a newly Courserian? And she said, Mario, find your own North Star. And once you find that North Star, just work hard for it. So I remember that I was just wondering after that conversation, and I remembered that I saw the mission of Coursera on the wall that says, bring access to world-class learning to anyone, anywhere in the world. So from my end, I say like, okay, the world is awesome, but I want to do this in Latin America. So I choose that as my North Star. And I've been working over the past 4 years on that. So when I started at Coursera, we had less than 2 million learners from Latin America on the platform. And as of today, we have more than 15 million learners. Just going back to the question of access and why online education is important. Something that, just to end it up there, something that people don't really tell you when you came to Silicon Valley is to be patient. On the other hand, people tells you, growth, and like move fast, break things, and all this stuff, which is great. But also having a long-term goal and being patient and to follow the process, like the different processes and the mentality of if you want to achieve something big, you should also think also on the long term. Is something that very few people tell you when you came to Silicon Valley. So being patient and having a long-term goal is really important.
On this long-term path that you took, there must have been also quite a few challenges. I mean, you don't go from 2 million to 50 million without probably a fair amount of challenge as well. I mean, what were they, and really what did you do to push through them? How did you succeed at playing this long-term game so far?
I think I saw myself as an intrapreneur. And entrepreneur is basically an entrepreneur, but inside of a company. So as a good entrepreneur, you need to have two things. One is a vision for what you want to achieve. And the second one is a problem that you want to solve. So having this vision of bringing access to millions of people in Latin America, then, as you said, a lot of challenges came with that vision, which is the problem that I've been trying and I'm still trying to solve. So challenges such as localization, such as content in local languages, and also Latin America is a very fragmented market. So in Latin America, also you can divide two different regions. One is Brazil, which is extremely different than Hispanic Latin America. And inside of Hispanic Latin America, we have also like a lot of like differences between Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and other countries as well. There are a lot of similarities, but definitely finding a good market like MVP and like the right one for each country, it has been really challenging. Something secondly that has been very challenging is to develop the market in terms of like behaviors. So online education has been seen in Latin America as something not really relevant, but little by little, like having like this early adopters, like sharing their stories, sharing their success, like more, we start seeing the network effect. And with COVID, we saw just kind of like a huge acceleration of that behavior change in the customer. So the market is there, legislation is opening up a little bit more. But the most important thing is the customer behaviors. I think that has been one of the largest challenges.
And what have you tried to sort of, I guess, increase the adoption and really convince people that may not be used to learning online that this is the future and that they should embrace it and be part of it? What are some of the things you do to really create that behavior change?
So in Coursera, the ecosystem, we have three elements. Just think as a triangle, right? The first one is the learners. The second one is the educators, and the third one are the institutions. So in order to change behaviors, you have like this relationship between these three. So in terms of like the learners, we have a growing base of learners, mostly in Mexico, Brazil, and then Colombia, and then other countries. On educators, we partner with the most relevant universities in Latin America. So in Mexico, for instance, with the Tecnológico de Monterrey, with UNAM, in Colombia with Universidad de los Andes, and in Chile con la Católica de Chile. So when you have the right educators, which according to like different indexes, those are the best universities in Latin America, and basically their main expertise is to teach and just to basically to create access to knowledge. So you have the learners that comes to the educators, and finally they go to the institutions. On institutions, we work on our B2B solution, which is we're targeting governments, universities, and companies. So when you see this ecosystem of a learner getting a credential from a renowned university and then going to a company that has already been using Coursera, that is the whole ecosystem, and we can see the exponential growth of like this relationship between these three elements over the years.
And if you look to the future, in terms of online education, you said, your true north is essentially really creating access for everyone in Latin America. There's still a million to go. What is it, that you think? How do you think about the future of online education? Where do you see it going? Also, with COVID having accelerated behaviors, as you mentioned.
Yeah, we can see a very interesting storyline about like solutions and companies that have been built during COVID time to solve the education. Different solutions are coming up, new companies are coming up, which for me is really exciting because the more companies trying to solve this problem, like a potential better solution we will have. So by working with universities, I can see that universities definitely are mostly open to develop blending models. And I really like the blending model of like having in-person classes combined with online classes for a better learning experience. I think that's really key. And that's kind of like how we live these days, right? I mean, we all are cybers, if you think for a second, right? We all have our cell phones in our pockets every single time of our days, and that makes us cybers. So I think in education is probably is the same. We have been seeing really good results of like this blending model. Just to give you one example, we launched a platform only for universities called Coursera for Campus. And when Wuhan University in China, that was the very first university who closed their doors because of COVID. So when that happened, Wuhan University had a partnership with Duke University, and Duke is a partner of Coursera. So Duke told us about what was going on in Wuhan University. So Coursera provided this platform of Coursera for Campus totally for free for Wuhan. And 2 months later, you know the story, basically COVID ended up spreading around the world. And as a result, 96% of universities closed their doors to their students. And it was that particular moment with the experience that we had with Wuhan University when Coursera decided in a very startup-y mode, like super fast, to take the decision of opening up this platform totally for free for universities around the world. And we're really lucky because the university partners that are part of Coursera, they also supported us with this idea. So we ended up receiving, at least in Latin America, we had around like 550 universities who ended up using this solution totally for free. And around the world was, I think was around like 4,000, if I'm not mistaken. So again, so when you see a problem such as the one that happened with the pandemic, and when you're in a university and when you see this technological solution that comes in handy, and when you use it and when you start using that as a blending model to teach your teach your students and also like to support your classes with other classes from the Coursera network, and you ended up seeing the results of the students, I think that's amazing and that's remarkable, and I think that could be part of the future. we are all cybers again.
I mean, it's a remarkable story. I'm curious just to wrap up sort of this part of it. I mean, in the future, there's learning that we'll do online through Coursera, and then there's probably learning that we still will go to universities to do that. How do you see that relationship evolve between, and also we'll need to reskill probably more as we get older in our careers several times. So how do you sort of see that relationship evolve? For what do you think people will really still go physically to the university? And when do you think people will just decide that, you know, an online course is enough?
So first of all, I think kind of like on a personal basis, one of my values is learning. And I believe we all now are forced to have like a lifelong learning, basically. Just to give you one example, when I finished my master's program at Columbia University back in 2006, roles such as social media manager or data scientist or growth manager didn't exist. And now it's extremely normal to see every company having these roles, right? So we really have to keep learning. Plus, you know, like it's really healthy for our mind. So we really have, I mean, to be competitive on the professional basis, but also health-wise to keep ourselves happy, we really need to keep learning. That's one. And in terms of like universities, universities are good institutions that are their main function is just to do research and to teach and to learn and just to provide this space for learners to basically to socialize and to learn. So I think universities are extremely relevant. Companies such as Coursera comes into the picture to support the work that universities are doing. And again, is the cyber model that I was mentioning, right? Is how we make work like technology part with the non-technology part, and how together we are better. And it's the same with AI and with any sort of like technology, how together we could be better.
Two closing questions for you. First of all, what is a book in the spirit of learning that has taught you a lot and that you like to recommend to others?
I've been reading over the past 2 years, like the Daily Stoic, which I have it here. And it's I really like Stoicism, which is part of philosophy, and I like this book because it has a short read of 1 page that it helps me on a daily basis to reflect and just to try to be a better human. Again, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday is a really good book. And what was the other question, Sunny? Sorry.
I don't want my hand getting master. I just announced. And the other question is if you're, you know, if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, you've been through entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship. You've come from Colombia, emigrated to the US. Now you're in Silicon Valley. What is a piece of advice you would give young Mario, who is, you know, about to maybe leave Colombia and embrace this adventurous life that you've been leading so far? What advice would you give him?
To chill out more. I think Marito has been hustling all his life, so hopefully, you know, I'll tell him like, hey, you know, sometimes it's good just to take some more time off and just to relax and just to be present. And don't worry that at the end everything kind of like comes together. Yeah, something like that I will tell to younger Mario.
Mario, it's been such a pleasure to have you here on the sunny side. I've tremendously enjoyed it. Just thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Sunny. I am grateful to you, and as always, a big fan of all your projects. So keep it up. Thank you for having me.
Now, here on F15, we'll continue every week with another conversation, speaking to someone who's shaping the digital economy and who's using tech for good. If you'd like to make sure to not miss out on any, do click the subscribe button, and I hope to see you soon back here on the sunny side.